Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So at this point, probably most of you watching this video have seen Marvel Studios' brand new show on Disney+, What If? And the idea of that show is exploring possible realities. Obviously, any little tweak in the universe, anything that could have happened in the past, it's the butterfly effect. It could have set off a whole new realities where everything goes wrong, where everything goes right. There's infinite possibilities. And of course, all Marvel Studios shows are based off of comics, so today I'm going to be comparing a certain episode of the What If Marvel Studios show to the comics that it was based off of. For any of you who are still unfamiliar with the What If concept, basically Uatu the Watcher is this cosmic being. His goal in life is to watch the universe and learn all. He can only observe and he can't make any actions. He can't interfere. He's just cataloging everything in the back of his head. He's this really weird dude. He's been killed in comics and has a whole history going on. He recently got resurrected, but that's a whole nother story for another time. He's the guy who is kind of the host of What If you can call him that. He can see into alternate universes. He's always popping up, but in the classic What If comic book series, which I think started around in the 1970s for Marvel Comics, the Watcher was at the start of every single issue. The first ever issue of the What If comic series was what if Spider-Man had joined the Fantastic Four, making them the Fantastic Five. Since then, there have been hundreds and hundreds of issues of What If, with more and more like obscure, random tweaks to the Marvel Universe, and it's a really interesting concept. I think it's something that Marvel sort of originally thought of. Since then, DC, everyone else has done it, obviously. There's plenty of alternate universe stuff going on in comics. A little too much if you ask a lot of people. But similar to the comics, the What If show pretty much does the exact same thing. There's the Watcher as the host. We've had, I think, 6 or 7 episodes at the time of this recording, and I've liked it for the most part. I think the animation is a little strange at some times. It's not like the best animation ever, and you might expect some pretty good stuff coming from Marvel Studios. Some of the episodes, I think, have been not so enjoyable just because the What If scenarios I haven't really liked that much. It's really hit or miss with these episodes, and it was for the comics too. But the interesting thing about episode 5, which is What If Zombies, is that it wasn't actually based off of the original What If series. It was based off of another comic, which is called Marvel Zombies. That's what this video is all about. I've come up with a few points comparing the original comic and the show that it's slightly based off of, but not completely based off of. The original Marvel Zombies miniseries, which was 5 issues, came out a really long time ago, over a decade ago. It was written by Robert Kirkman, who, as I'm sure the majority of you guys know, is the creator of The Walking Dead. But this Marvel Zombies franchise has branched off into a Marvel Zombies 2, Marvel Zombies 3, 4, there might have even been a 5, and most recently the Marvel Zombies Resurrection miniseries, which started a brand new alternate universe, and that happened just about a year ago. So Marvel Zombies has been a very successful thing for Marvel Comics. Why not try it out in the show? And the MCU did an interesting spin on it. There are a few little nods and exact references to the original Marvel Zombies miniseries that we see in the What If Zombies episode of the What If show on Disney+. But the biggest difference between the show and the comic, setting aside all the differences between the MCU and the comics, is who the main characters are. So in the Marvel Zombies miniseries by Robert Kirkman, it follows the zombies. It's actually a really interesting take, and we just see this dark Marvel universe, but not from the perspective of the survivors, but more from the perspective of these classic Marvel heroes like Spider-Man, Wolverine, Giant Man, and a whole bunch of others in zombie form. They've all abandoned all of their morals. They're not heroes anymore. They've been infected. They have this need to hunger and to eat human flesh, but they still have their brains. Hank Pym, aka Ant-Man, or in this case he's Giant Man at the time of this comic, he is still smart. He's trying to figure out stuff to do to get more meat because they've eaten pretty much everyone. Spider-Man is always having breakdowns and realizing what a bad person he is because he had to eat Aunt May and Mary Jane. He couldn't help himself. It's a really dark side to the Marvel Universe, and so, as might be expected, in the What If episode, it follows the heroes, not the zombies, the ones that are still surviving, because that's the classic route to go with a zombie comic. We see Peter Parker, we see a whole bunch of other heroes, the Wasp, and a few others who are just on a mission to try to find a cure, or just to survive in the first place. All of the other heroes have been zombified, and we don't actually follow that many of the zombified heroes. It's more just like cameos. We see Captain America being zombified and Bucky having to fight him down. So it's kind of sad to see these heroes fighting each other, but they don't get too dark with it like Robert Kirkman did with the Marvel Zombies comic. One main thing that I noticed right off the bat when I saw it, my mind clicked. There was a scene where we found T'Challa, the Black Panther. He had been trapped by, I think in the show it was Scarlet Witch and Vision. Scarlet Witch had gone insane, and Vision, he can't be bitten, obviously. He can't turn into a zombie, so he had been finding people for Scarlet Witch to eat, and that exact same thing happened in the comics. It wasn't Scarlet Witch eating him, though. It was Giant Man, aka Hank Pym. He had been keeping Black Panther in secret, one of the very few survivors on Earth that any of the heroes, the zombified heroes, had found in a really long time. But in the show and in the comic, T'Challa ends up escaping and, helping out the other heroes. Plus another kind of similar thing, I don't know if this really counts because I don't think it was an exact reference, but in the Marvel Zombies comic, we saw Hank Pym, Giant Man. Of course, he's in his Giant Man form the whole time. He's eating all these people. He can eat them quicker because he's so big. He can also switch back, though, but for the most part, he stays in Giant Man form so that he has the advantage to try to catch any strays that he can eat. And in the show, we do have a scene where Wasp, who's not Giant Man, obviously, but a similar character who also uses Pym particles, she, in one scene, sacrifices herself for all the other heroes who are still surviving. To get through this giant zombie crowd, this horde that would have killed them, she sacrifices herself and turns into a giant wasp to, plow through them, let the other heroes escape. That was another interesting comparison. Those are kind of the only two things I could think of that are exactly referenced, because to be honest, I don't even know if the people who wrote this episode of What If, they might not have even been aware of Robert Kirkman's Marvel Zombies for all we know. Zombies are a pretty common theme, a pretty common, what if thing to go with. One kind of interesting thing, though, thinking through this and comparing the show to all kinds of different Marvel Zombies comics in my mind, I was noticing how this young Peter Parker, who we see in the What If episode, he's got a welcome video for new survivors. He's trying to get people happy again. It's a really bleak world with all of the people, all of the heroes zombified. Him being one of the only survivors, he's kind of the only ray of hope that anyone had left in the show. But then in the most recent Marvel Zombies miniseries, it's a completely alternate universe where we see Peter Parker, and he is totally grown up at this point. It's set 20 years or something after the fall, after the zombies took over, and it's following him. He's babysitting for Franklin and Valeria, who are the Fantastic Four's kids. He's lost all hope. He's basically thinking that there's never going to be a cure. Obviously, those are the show and the Marvel Zombies Resurrection comic are totally different things. They're not related in any way, but I could kind of imagine that futuristic version of Peter Parker, who's lost all hope, being what the What If show Peter Parker in the Marvel Zombies episode is going to be like when he grows up. It's only so long in a zombie apocalypse before somebody's just going to lose all hope and understand that it's never going to get better. With more and more people being killed and taken by the zombies, it just gets worse and worse. That's obviously pretty vague, but I thought it was interesting comparing the Peter Parkers of the show and the most recent Marvel Zombies comic. So those were just a few things. At the end of the day, these are not really similar at all. Zombies are a pretty common concept, and the MCU just has too many differences. It hasn't developed quite as much as the comics have, not even close. Those are the couple points that I came up with, but if you've read the original Marvel Zombies comic and watched that episode of What If that focused on the zombies, let me know down in the comments section below if you can think of any similarities that I missed in the video. Special thanks to one of my longtime viewers, Wetboy40/Graham, for the idea for this video. I appreciate the feedback. It was interesting to do something a little bit different on this channel. If you got some good information from it, or if you enjoyed the video at all, make sure to hit that subscribe button. That's the big red button, which is sitting right below this video. You can also hit the notifications bell, which is sitting right next to it. You'll be notified every single time I post a new video if you don't want to miss any. So that's everything from me for today. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Bye, guys.